All right, welcome back. Episode 2, game-changing podcast. Let's go. Let's get back into it. NBA is back, baby. I'm so excited. The NBA is back. It's a great time of year. I love the NBA. Everybody loves the NBA. Who doesn't love the NBA? We got a lot to talk about, though. So let's get right into it today. A lot of stuff happened this week. A lot of news happened this week, especially with the NBA, with the MLB. A lot happened. So let's jump right into it. First off, Thursday's game in the NBA. Both were close. Jazz 106, Pelicans 104. Let's start with that. The big surprise in that game was that Zion only played 15 minutes. 15 minutes is like none, basically. I don't know what they're trying to do over there. Why your best player, your lottery pick, your draft pick, your number 1 pick, and you're only playing in 15 minutes? I don't understand. They're trying to make the playoffs here. Why are they only playing him 15 minutes? That's not enough. I think he had 13 points, some rebounds, an average game, but not enough for them to win. What if they play him 30 minutes? They probably win that game. And this is going to cost them. You only get, 8 games here? You don't have time to ease people back into it. They've had 4 months off. Zion deserves his chance. Zion needs his chance, and he needs to get it right now, and he's just not. The second game, Clippers 101, Lakers won it 103. LeBron, I think the big surprise here was that LeBron kind of struggled. The first 3 quarters is what he said. The stats kind of show the same. He only had 16 points. Anthony Davis went absolutely off. I think he had 39 points. Quite a game for AD. AD definitely saved the Lakers. But LeBron, as LeBron always does, he's my man. Clutched up, coming down the stretch, played great D. Then got his own board. If y'all haven't seen the video, you need to check that out. Got his own board and dunked it back in. Great play. That kind of sealed it up for him. And then his defense on Kawhi. Kawhi is one of the best offensive weapons in the league, and LeBron totally shut him down coming down the stretch. Him and Paul George, actually, on one play. And then Friday's games, looking at these right here, we got, so the Bucks beat the Celtics, which is pretty big. I think the Celtics are one of the stronger, if not the strongest team in the East. Obviously, the Bucks are the strongest, but besides the Bucks, I think it's kind of up for grabs between the Celtics and a lot of other teams. And then the Rockets beat the Mavs in overtime. Harden had 49 points. Harden, I wasn't really sure what his stats were, or how many times he shot the ball, but 49 is a lot. And if you went into OT, that's pretty impressive still. But they need to be ahead of the Mavs before OT if they want to make a true run at this. A lot of people have the Rockets as true championship contenders with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. But, if the Mavs are taking you to overtime, I don't really see how you're true competition, true championship contenders. The Mavs are good, but they ain't that good. And then today, let's talk about today. The Heat got a big win over the Nuggets today, 125 to 105. Big win for the Heat. They're one of the more exciting teams to watch. A lot of young talent and a lot of good shooters. Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, people like that. I think they're going to be one of the tougher teams to beat coming down the stretch. I think kind of the important thing with them is their youth. I think it may actually help them because some of the more veteran teams, the older guys, with this 4-month layoff, it may take them a little bit to get back in the groove of things. They got to rub some rust off. I don't think the young guys have that problem as much. And also with, a lot of time off in a lot of games, I think a lot of games in a row, not necessarily in a row, but in close time, close proximity, I think that gives the advantage to the younger guys instead of the older guys, to be honest. And so I think that'll help the Heat coming down the stretch. Maybe they make a true championship run. I think they may be the only team that can truly beat the Bucks. Maybe the Celtics in a series, but I'm not really sure. I think the Heat can make a good run. I think the 76ers could make a big run, but they got to get it together. Their coach, Ben Simmons needs to play better. Joel Embiid needs to start acting like an adult instead of like a kid like he usually does. And if they come together as a team, they would be the most dominant team in the East, but they don't play as a team yet. They got a lot of work to do, but I think they can do it. I think over time they can do it. And then also today we have Clippers beat the Pelicans. The Clippers had 25 threes, which is the most in franchise history, which is also extremely impressive because I don't really consider them a huge three-point shooting team. I mean, they're not like the Warriors last year or the Heat this year even. Zion, guess how many minutes he had? 14. So he had 15 in game one. He had 14 in the second game, and the Pelicans lost both games. So obviously, now I don't think the Pelicans were supposed to beat the Clippers, but they definitely could have beat the Jazz if Zion had played more. I mean, I think that's a big reason why the Pelicans are losing these early games. I don't know what the strategy is, whether they're worried about Zion's health. I mean, I sort of get it because I don't think they're going to win a title this year. So, maybe not injure him on these bubble games that aren't really going to mean anything for him. But I still think you want to get to the playoffs, have some respect in your name. Pelicans have been shaky playoff teams the last few years. I mean, they haven't even made the playoffs some of the years. They haven't been consistent playoff team for a while, if ever. Yeah, I don't think they really have ever been a consistent playoff team. So I think now's the time to start. I think the next few years, if Zion stays, if he gets traded, which isn't going to happen, but if he leaves, I could see that changing. But as long as he's there, I think they have decent playoff contention chances. And then also today is going on right now, Raptors, Lakers, big game, former champs or champions of right now, the Raptors. They are getting beat by the Lakers 44-41.5. So I think, the Lakers, if they win this game, they're off to a good start beating two very quality teams. Raptors are a solid team in the East, and the Clippers are obviously the second best team in the West. And then let's talk about a couple more things. We had two players, Myers Leonard and Jonathan Isaac, both stood for the national anthem. Plus Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich made much better comments afterwards than the other two, or much more sensible comments after. Pop said he wasn't going to tell why. He said that it was left to him, which was fine. Nobody asked questions. Everybody respects Pop. Myers Leonard, I'm not really sure if he said anything about it, but Jonathan Isaac started talking about God and a lot of other things along that line. And Jonathan said it was in the best interest of him. It was really kind of weird because we had a protest. It was almost like he was protesting against the protest, but, I don't have a whole lot of opinions to say on this specific topic. I'm not going to get into that on this podcast, but both of them felt like, I respect them for doing what they felt like they needed to do. I understand that from an athlete's perspective as well as a human perspective. So if they did what they thought was right, then I condole them and I respect them. Let's go to the MLB. Back to my favorite Rob Manfred, because he never knows when to shut up and when to not say stupid things. And when asked about the season, he said there's no reason to quit. How is there no reason to quit when you got half some teams all testing positive? And he said the players need to do better. How are the players going to do any better? When you play baseball, how are they supposed to do better than what they're doing now? I mean, the first baseman, they're all wearing masks. What, are you going to have every player wearing masks? You can't do that. So let's think this out logically. You can't have all players wearing masks. You can't play baseball. You can't play any sport, I don't think, while wearing a mask. Maybe pool, something like that. But you can't play sports where you got to run around and stuff like that with a mask. So how are they going to do better? He kept saying the players need to do better. If they do what they're supposed to do, we will be able to finish the season. Those were his words, not mine. I just don't understand how they're supposed to do any better. there was some talk, and he also said that there's going to be probably some teams that won't get 60 games in, and so they're going to use winning percentage as the playoff qualifier, not just overall wins like it would usually be, but it's going to be winning percentage, which can make a big difference. I mean, if some teams are only playing 50 games while others are playing 60, that can shake things up a lot. I just don't think he's handling it the way he should be. There's no reason to quit. Obviously, our lives aren't a reason to quit. He keeps saying there's no reason to quit. Our human lives, not a reason to quit. I mean, if people are dying, granted, it hasn't happened yet, but it could. You could have a guy that, has asthma or something that plays baseball that, gets COVID and then dies from it or is very ill and goes to the hospital. None of that has happened yet to my knowledge. But I think if something like that were to happen, then there's definitely a reason to quit. And I'm not sure Rob would do it. I don't know, he's very selfish about this, it seems like. It seems like he's putting all the responsibility on the players when it's his job as a commissioner to set up a safe plan like Adam Silver did, like I think the NFL needs to do, but I'm not sure they will. And I just think he as a commissioner needs to take more responsibility than what he is. He also put out a quote, his words, not mine. He said, this is kind of a day-to-day thing right now. You just have to get up in the morning and figure out a way to keep going through another day to stay safe for people. So he's waking up in the morning and has no idea how his players are going to stay safe that day. He just kind of figures it out as he goes. Right now, in all this uncertainty, I understand if some things are uncertain, how long the season will be, how many games are going to be played, but you need to have a stable protocol, procedures for what happens if X happens, if Y happens, if a player gets it, if a team gets it, if a player goes to the hospital because of it, if a whole team gets it, if half a team gets it, if, all these things, if a player gets it from an outside source, brings it in, all of these things need to be thought about. And I just don't think he's doing it. Rob Manfred needs to really look at himself and say, it's my job to figure this out. Granted, he has a lot of people around him that can help him out with this. And I just don't think he's putting in the time nor the effort to get this done in the right amount of time. It seemed like they just kind of rushed it back. Like, there was all that arguing a month or two ago, or really like a month ago, before the game started, about the players wanting full salaries for only playing 60 games. There was all that, and they never really figured out. They kind of rushed into it. Rob was like, we're going to have 60-game season. That was kind of it. They don't have set protocols, set procedures if this happens, if this happens, if that happens. It just seems like he literally said that they are waking up and just kind of deciding what happens that day, the day of. And that's too late. Because one day, something's going to happen that day unexpectedly, and it's going to be too late for everybody. It'll happen at some point. And you can't let that happen as a national sports league that they are. Also in baseball, we have the Joe Kelly incident. I'm not sure how many of you all know about that. Joe Kelly is a pitcher. He threw behind Alex Bregman of the Astros. Joe Kelly's a pitcher for the Dodgers. He threw behind the head of Alex Bregman of the Astros, and then later struck out Carlos Correa and was taunting him, doing all that kind of stuff. Made fun of him, kind of crybaby stuff on his way back to the dugout, which ended up clearing both dugouts, and there was a big brawl. Joe Kelly was suspended 8 games, and after he said, my accuracy isn't the best. I love the quote, but it seems kind of like a smart aleck quote, because he said he didn't do it on purpose, throw it behind Alex Bregman's head. But I'm no pitcher by any means. I played baseball back in the day, but I don't play now, and I'm never gonna make it to the major leagues. But if you're a professional pitcher, you have more control of your accuracy than what he says he has. You wouldn't be in the league. You wouldn't be put on the mound if owners, GMs, managers didn't trust you to have better accuracy than throwing it behind somebody. If you were that wild, you wouldn't be in the league. I'm sorry, it just wouldn't happen. I don't think you could do what he did and just come out and say my accuracy isn't the best. No apology, no nothing, no sorry. Not even sorry it happened. If he had said sorry it happened, I understand that. It was an accident. He doesn't have to say sorry I did it on purpose, because I don't think he's going to admit to doing it on purpose. He obviously doesn't think he did, or isn't going to say he did. I mean, this is after the Astros, all the cheating stuff that came out in the offseason. I mean, a lot of people are gunning for the Astros' head right now, and obviously Joe Kelly may be one of them. The bigger point of this is that he was suspended 8 games. 8 games in a 162-game season doesn't mean a whole lot. 8 games in a 60-game season means a whole lot. 8 games in a 60-game season is 13% of the entire season. Now, 8 games may not sound like a lot, but 13% of the entire season, that's huge. That's a huge number for somebody to be suspended. I think that the MLB, went too far with the suspension. I think one of the reasons was, and I was looking into this, was that it was not his first incident in tension with other players. He in 2018, he had gotten into a fight with somebody else when he was on the Red Sox. So it wasn't his first incident with fighting, with mocking, with all of that going on. However, I think that 13% of the season is a lot to miss for just throwing it behind somebody's head and taunting someone. I don't have a problem with the taunting. I'm a big trash talker myself and a big taunter and whatnot. I understand that, it's part of competition, and he really didn't do that much. I mean, it's not like he flipped him off or anything. He walked off the mound and did that number. I don't have an issue with that. I do have an issue with throwing it behind somebody's head, because then that puts the person's safety at risk. Baseballs are thrown fast and hard, especially when you're in the major leagues and you're a pitcher. So a 90 mile an hour, 95 mile an hour, I don't know what he threw the pitch, coming at your head would give you a little shakeout. So, and then saying my accuracy isn't the best, come on, you're an MLB pitcher. Your accuracy is doing just fine. Much better than throwing it behind somebody's head. Your accuracy is better than that. Everybody knows that. I could go out there and pitch it, at least not at somebody's head. I mean, it ain't that hard. So other than that, Joe Kelly missing 13%, that could hurt them coming down the stretch. He's a relief pitcher, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he is. That could really hurt them coming down the stretch, especially in the 60-game season. You don't have time to lose. You don't have time to, ease into things. It's same with the NBA bubble. You don't have time. There's no time here. 8 games in the bubble, and you got to make the playoffs. And then the playoffs come right around. You don't have time to ease back into things, even though you've had this long break. And MLB's had a really long break, especially if the team didn't make the playoffs last year. I mean, they haven't played in almost a year. They haven't played competitive baseball in like 10 months. So that time off, it'll be interesting to see how it affects some things. I think it definitely will. I think it'll have more of an effect on the older players. Like I said with the bubble, the older players that have taken more time off, it's hard for their body to adjust quickly like the younger players can. So when they hop back into things, it takes them a little bit to get going again, whereas the younger players can hop back in. The younger players don't need to warm up. The older players may need that. So I think, with those things happening, some other stuff today that was going on is the golf tournament. talk about that real quick. DJ, can we talk about DJ for a second? Have you all seen this man without a beard? Dustin Johnson without a beard. It is the weirdest looking thing. It freaked me out at first when I saw it. It was weird to see. A buddy of mine actually sent it to me. It was weird to see. I was freaked out. Everybody else is going to be freaked out. Paulina Gretzky's wife's probably freaked out. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. I'll put a picture up somewhere. But, weird. So, Brendan Todd's at the top. Ben On's up there. Ricky's up there. Do we think Ricky gets it done? Comment below if Ricky Fowler finally gets another win. Brooks Koepka's in 3 back. Justin Thomas is 4 back. Phil's 5 back. Some big names. Spieth is 7 back, but T17. Spieth, my boy, finally starting to play again. He's starting to play, which is good to see. Brendan Todd, I think, is the surprise of the year. Right now, he's 9th in the FedEx Cup, projected to go to 2. Or no, he's 9th in the FedEx Cup, projected to go to 2. That's crazy. I mean, Brendan Todd, I bet if you went on the streets and asked people who play golf, if they know Brendan Todd, they still probably wouldn't know. Not many would know him. Ricky Fowler, 69 today, 1 under, 64 the first day, 67 second day. Will he get it done? Usually, Saturday, Sundays when he struggled. And so far, Saturday was his lowest round. Koepka shot 68 today after 71 yesterday and 62 the first day. He's 3 back. I think he's right where he wants to be. Brendan will finish strong, and Ben Hunt is a good player who's played very solid, 68, 65, 66. You love that. You love to see that consistency coming down the stretch. But I think Brooks will probably get it done. Maybe JT will make a run. So those are my picks for the week. Thank you all so much for tuning in today and this week in my first podcast, and this is my second. Go follow Instagram. It's game_changing_podcast. TikTok, same thing. YouTube, please watch, share, comment, like it up. I appreciate y'all more than you know. Thank you so much.